Now, Embiid, the current odds-on favorite to win right now. He currently leads the NBA in scoring, averaging just over 33 points per game, along with 10 rebounds and a career-high 55% shooting from the field. But Jokic right behind him with plus 175 odds to win the award for the third straight year. He's within a top 5 of both rebounds and assists. He's also averaging just under 25 points per game for the West leading Nuggets.
Has Joel Embiid done enough to win MVP this season? Because for the last 2 years, the process himself has been a runner-up for the award to Nikola Jokic. But you see, this year's a little bit different due to the simple fact that a thing called voter fatigue exists. Now, if you don't know what voter fatigue is, it's essentially this idea where the people who are voting for MVP get tired of voting for the best player in the world to win it over and over again. So they decide to hand it out to a superstar who may or may not even be on the same level as the guy winning it, just so that there's more variety in the league. And if you don't believe this is true, you're brain dead, really. I mean, you're ignoring the facts. And the guy who was winning it before Jokic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, he dominated the league. And he deserved more than just 2 MVPs, alright? And yet, that's all he was given. And it's not just like a one-time occurrence. It happened to Steph Curry a couple years prior. Let's be real. Steph Curry dominated the late 2010s. And yet, he only walked away from that with 2 MVPs because they decided to give them out to guys like Westbrook and James Harden. Now, they did their own things, right? Don't get me wrong. They had phenomenal seasons. But Steph Curry revolutionized the game of basketball and is only going to end up with 2 MVPs, maybe 3 if he snags one later in his career, but I doubt it. And it happened to LeBron James twice. He had won back-to-back MVPs twice, and then on the third go-around, they decide to hand it off to someone else. And voter fatigue hasn't been more apparent than when Derrick Rose won it back in 2011. Let's be real. Should Derrick Rose have won it over LeBron James? The only thing he had over LeBron was that he had slightly more assists averaged, and his team won 4 more games. But LeBron had him beat out in almost everything else. I'm serious. The only difference between the two of them is that Rose was doing it at a younger age. But come on, man. The voters, that was so clearly some voter fatigue BS right there. LeBron should have won what would eventually have become his 5th MVP. Hell, he could have won 5 of them in a row. But it's not just this new era of basketball that it's happening in. I mean, it happened to Michael Jordan. Should Michael Jordan, if anybody should have won 3 MVPs in a row, it should have been MJ. Hell, he got two three-peats, and yet he didn't get a three-peat when it came to an MVP. Why? Voter fatigue. People are tired of voting for the same guy over and over again. So, is Joel Embiid only going to win it this year because of voter fatigue? That's what I want to talk about. I mean, does Embiid deserve to win it? Now, advanced analytic nerds are going to tell you that, Jokic deserves it. He's leading in almost every statistical category. Who the fuck cares? Are you actually watching the games? Because if you are, then you would see Embiid go out nearly every night and put on a masterclass. I mean, he'll go down low, beat you in the post. He ain't scared of no center in this league. I'm telling you, there is not one man that strikes fear into Joel Embiid. Alright, fine. Y'all nerds want to look at stats? We'll take a look. Who's averaging the most points per game in the MVP convo? Joel Embiid with 33. I mean, no one's averaged more than 33 and won the MVP since Michael Jordan did it back in 88. 35 years ago? Okay, who's leading the MVP convo in blocks? Joel Embiid at 1.7, and it's not close. I mean, the second most would be Shai Gilgeous, who's doing, he's averaging 1, fantastic for a guard. But is he really in the MVP convo? No. I mean, Basketball Reference has him at 9, but he's not in the convo. Who's putting up more shots, Jokic or Embiid? Embiid. And when you're the man, you take the shots. Now, am I cherry-picking stats here? Hell yeah, I'm cherry-picking stats. But it's my video, so I can cherry-pick the stats that I want. Alright, but Jokic isn't Embiid's only competitor in this race. Because while I did say that Embiid is very dominant on the floor, he's not the most dominant. I mean, I've been watching NBA games like all the time this season. I mean, if dominance was a stat, who would dominate that? Yeah, it would be Giannis Antetokounmpo. The man is 7 foot, 245 pounds. He's built like an NFL star. And if he's running down the court at you, what, like 20 miles an hour? You're moving out the way. Now, the only man who might not move is Embiid, because he shouldn't. He's like the best player in the world. But almost everybody else is moving out the way for Giannis. Now, his game, I love watching his game. This man will bully anybody. I mean, anybody. And you go look at Giannis highlights. What's more entertaining? Giannis, Embiid, or Jokic highlights? No, it's Giannis. Giannis is the most entertaining. I would watch his highlights for hours, honestly. But I'm not going to, because I'm making videos, alright? Now, I don't want people to think that this is a slander video on Jokic. I want people to see it as more of a video that uplifts Embiid and his game. But the problem is, when you discuss a superstar and why he deserves to win MVP, people will fight you back with the fact that, you know, what about this guy? Look at this guy. For example, say I tell somebody, hey, Joel Embiid should win MVP. I mean, just look what he does right here.
33 so far tonight. 54 points, 33 minutes. Markkanen on the roll. Blocked by Embiid! Quickly.
Look at this block before the ball gets to the backboard. That's clean. One more time. Great timing.
Then I'll get a response with something like, okay, maybe Embiid did that. But what about Jokic when he did this?
Whips it to Gordon. And he knocks it down.
Did you see that pass?
Man.
See, I don't get that with Mike Breen.
I got
He
those
doesn't have that in his game. How about this pass, though? The look away. You got to trust your receiver, but you also have to understand that they know it's coming at any time. Beautiful feed.
But instead of trying to prove me wrong by showing me your guy, how about you just point out flaws in my guy's game, you know? I mean, take Embiid, for example. Now, am I going to talk about his flaws in this video? Fuck no. I love Embiid. Okay, I'll talk about his flaws. Let's see. People don't like the fact that Embiid has only played in 61 games so far. Now, there are 7 more games left in the season, so he could play up to 68. But is he going to? I don't know. I'm not a fucking fortune teller. I don't know how many games he's going to play. But the only players to win MVP and play less games than that, Bill Walton, 78, Bob Cousy, 57. Now, there are 3 other scenarios where guys did play less or around that same amount of games, and that was Karl Malone in 99 and LeBron James in, 2011? 12? Because of lockouts. The NBA had lockouts that season, so the seasons were shortened. Now, there was another case in 2020 where Giannis won it with only 62 games, but that was because of COVID. Alright, so the season got shortened by 10 games. That's why Giannis was able to win the MVP and only play in 62. Now, do I think that hurts Embiid's odds? Yeah, I think it hurts Embiid, but that shouldn't be the main factor for not giving it to Embiid. Because playing in 61, plus the 7 left, I think that Embiid's played enough games to prove all of y'all that he should have an MVP. He's played enough games. I think 60 whatever he ends up with is enough. Now, are people going to argue? Yeah, they are. Because that's what people do when they're bored. They argue. And if you want to argue, let me know in the comments. Just argue down there. Not to my face. Don't say it to my face. The fuck? Don't say that shit. Say down there. Alright. Catch y'all later. What's my next video going to be about? I don't know, man. Again, not a fortune teller. Catch y'all later. Deuces. Much love.